You're listening to Discography Discussion, episode 222, Skindred. Hosted by Dan Terry.
But at the same time, isn't that the way it should be?
John Beatty.
It could go to shit real fast if you don't have a competent vocalist to go over these things.
And Joseph Wren. If we can have Sharknado, damn it, I can have sharks versus airplanes. Presented by DiscussMetal.com. And if you think the kids are right now and proceed with caution, then you are ready for this episode of Discography Discussion. I am Joe, that is Dan, that is John.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Discography Discussion. My name is Dan, with me is John and Joe. We're going to talk about some insane reggae-influenced hard rock. Dare I say new metal, or is this another one of those episodes where we're going to be like, is this band new metal? Are they not? They definitely seem more new than not. But as we go further on, we might be in another, to quote Joe, a hybrid situation here.
Don't call it dubcore, John. That's not a real genre.
Oh, because, you know, tech, metal, all that kind of shit. Like, some of the other subgenres that get thrown around are real genres.
Listen, I'm not going to let you talk that way about crabcore, okay? That's just where we're at right now, okay?
I'm going to go ahead and put this band in new metal and say that's what they are. It's just shocking to hear modern R&B influences in your new metal. I don't think we've heard that before. Can you give me another example?
From Ashes to New?
Nah, man, no one ever did it before them.
Nobody
said it on my show.
They absolutely told John with a straight face that From Ashes to New is in fact the very first band to ever combine hard rock guitars with R&B sensibilities.
Yep.
Yeah, and rapping. They're the only people that ever did it. And the fact that they said it was rapping and not R&B influence, like right there, should tell you everything that you need to know. So maybe one of these days we'll do a From Ashes to New episode. You know, we'll do it as part of our Pioneers series.
Is the trailer going to be in that?
No, absolutely, 100%. As we all know, they invented metalcore. Yeah.
Well, before Dan decides to pioneer podcasting, I'm going to take this time to say thank you to everyone for listening to the podcast. Thank you for listening and subscribing. If you are not a subscriber, then you can find everything Discography Discussion at DiscussMetal.com. We are on Spotify, Apple and Google Podcasts, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, twitch.tv/DiscussMetalDan for all your game streaming and live recording needs. So if you have an Amazon Echo or a Google Home, you have no excuse. Ask it to play the latest episode of the Discography Discussion podcast, and it will. We're also on Facebook and on Twitter at Discuss Metal. Be sure to like, favorite, and subscribe. It really helps us out. It lets us know you're listening. And now Dan is going to tell us all about 5-star reviews.
Well, we do love our 5-star reviews here on Discography Discussion. We love them so much, in fact, that we like to read them on the show. And I'm going to read one for you guys right now that we got just recently over there on Apple Podcasts. It says, great show with great production. When I started listening to podcasts a few years back, I started with this show. And I didn't realize what a terrible choice it was to do so at the time. I started sweating during this part. Because I've started to listen to a number of other podcasts since then, and very few align with my interests and have the production quality of Discography Discussion. With Joe and Dan being the nucleus of the show, and Jeff, Buddy, John, and a number of guests providing additional commentary, the show always delivers and makes me enjoy learning about bands and albums that I do and don't listen to. Keep up the good work.
Dude, you're the nucleus of something. How do you feel about that?
I feel positively charged. Is that how a nucleus works? I'm not 100% sure. No, hold on. I'm thinking about atoms right now, and I should be thinking about cells.
Eves? You should be thinking about Eves.
Cells have a nucleus.
Well
right?
done, John.
Yeah, I know. I heard it. I just didn't dignify it with comment. On that note, but not on that note at all. Speaking of comments, over on Facebook, in reference to our Linkin Park episode, Brett Duncan said, this was a good discussion. I pretty much agreed with everything you said. One More Light had great lyrics, and I can't stand the music, but I have been a huge fan of Linkin Park since 2003. Bought every album day one from Minutes to Midnight to Hunting Party. I enjoy you guys a lot. Now please talk about Chevelle soon. That would be awesome.
I wonder what's next.
Yeah, I do wonder what's next. Well, I think point number one is that we need to get to some other bands first. You know, I mean, I don't know. I think it's fine.
Here's a quick mini episode. You stole a Deftones riff to get your big single, and then you realized that Tool wasn't around and on the radio, so you stole their sound to get popular. There you go.
Maybe their vocal sound. You know, we could probably talk for at least 10 minutes on Chevelle.
Patreon.
But it is not this day. Also over on Facebook, in reference to our episode on him. All right, I don't know how to pronounce your name, so I apologize. But I think it's Pika Olila.
I'll allow it.
If I didn't say it right, just let me know. We're on Facebook. You can just blow me up. Was not expecting this, but happy it's here. Cheers from Finland. So we got an actual Finnish comment there, which is fantastic. And Tyler Fleming just had to say, I've been waiting for this one. So contrary to what I thought going into doing a him episode, apparently there was massive demand for it. So thanks, John. Thank you for that.
John Beatty saves the day.
It's funny that like in some of those comments and so forth that a lot of people, I was really nervous because I was like, oh man, this is such a me heavy episode. And even when I went back and listened to it, I was like, fuck, everyone's gonna hate this. And to see the pretty positive reaction was overwhelming on my side, because I was like, does anyone care about this band?
Right.
We care, John. We all care.
We definitely care. Speaking of people that care, we got an email directly at John, which is it came from Rubber Duck, and he says, "Hey, I'm not going to say anything about how it sounds, but it's out there." I'm sorry. The title of the email was, "Does John know of the bluegrass hymn covers?" He goes, "I'm not going to say anything about how it sounds, but it's out there. It's called Jussi Siren and the Groundbreakers, Heart of Grass." So, make sure to check that out. We'll have to get your thoughts at a later date.
I had found out about them, and if anyone's familiar with like this weird bluegrass covers phenomenon, so like there's Hey Dixie, where it's all AC/DC covers done in bluegrass style.
That's amazing.
Yep. So yes, I am aware of it. It's sometimes interesting when you take music that sounds the way it does and then completely redo it in another genre. You're like, huh. It's like when you see like Slayer songs done on like banjos and shit, like and stuff like that, where you're like, I didn't think that would work, but it kind of does.
Yeah. Well, he goes on to say, "I'm from Finland, and metal fans thought him were a girls' band at the time."
Not wrong.
We all listened to all the Gothenburg stuff. It was funny visiting the U.S. and seeing hairy dudes with Heartagram shirts after the band blew up.
It's Bam's fault. Blame Bam.
It is Bam. It is Bam's fault. I still don't care for them much, but enjoyed the episode a lot. I could tell how much John likes the band because he kept saying the interesting thing about this band is, and this kind of enthusiasm keeps me coming back. Some of my favorite episodes have been about bands I don't care for. Hopefully he can get a few laughs out of the album. I listen to you guys at work, and it really helps pass the time. Thank you. So, well, thank you for that email, definitely, and I appreciate that you like listening to us talk about bands that you don't care for. Sometimes I have to talk about bands that I don't care for. Thankfully, though, that is not the case today.
Number one, I want to explain the dancing for the video listeners. I am totally listening to Skindred's version of Electric Avenue, and I do not apologize. Number two, I want to go back to the first comment where they were talking about how great the sound quality is. I feel like Dan just went right through that and didn't give it all the due that it deserves. You want to give me some more on that one?
There's just not enough like room in that window for the ego to get any bigger.
I can't help it.
So
I can get closer to the camera. Does that help?
Oh no. We're going pure Skindred here.
So Dan, tell me about Skindred.
Well, Skindred, if you didn't know, is a Welsh heavy metal band from Newport, Wales, and they started all the way back in 1998, which actually makes a lot of sense as far as their sound, especially in 2000. They combine reggae elements with a little bit of hip hop, a little bit of rock, a little bit of nu metal, and so you honestly, the thing that struck me the most listening to Skindred was that, number one, I had not been listening to this band for very long, and I was completely blown away by how fun and upbeat their music was. Because usually whenever we're talking about hip hop influenced or reggae influenced bands, it's still super like teen angst, sort of stuff. Skindred doesn't come across like that. Skindred is much more refined in their lyrical topics and in their presentation, where it sounds to me like they're more interested in just rocking out and everybody having a great time than they are necessarily telling you about how, their mom told them that they couldn't have a new pair of Nikes when they were 17.
What's the problem?
Oh, I didn't say there was a problem. I think it's perfectly fine. Skindred's been around for quite a while. At least the band members themselves have been. Most specifically, their vocalist Benji, who is he was in another band for several years called Dub War. And if I had time, I was actually going to go back and listen to the Dub War discography and see more or less how they compared to one another. It's always interesting to me. Are we talking like this is a band that wasn't really that great? I actually don't know what the answer is, and I'm going to probably check it out when I have some more free time. But I always like that kind of dynamic because you have to ask yourself, is this a Dez Coal Chamber Devil Driver situation? Like, was he in some very established band prior to being in Skindred? And I just want to see what the evolution of his vocals were, because he's just absolutely all over the place from your expected, reggae type of like higher pitched, faster delivery. But then he'll also just belt a scream out there like it's nothing. And has a very, very interesting melodic singing voice, which parallels another band. And I'll get into that later, that it was definitely a comparison I didn't think that I was going to have to make, but I'm going to have to make it. And
Here
I think
we are.
John also has some thoughts about that as well.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is the one and only time I've ever seen Skindred was when they opened for him, because him pretty much never brought bands. I mean, no band sounds like him, really. So it's like, who the fuck do you bring?
What about her?
That worked.
Her sounds
actually, now
exactly like him.
I was gonna say, now there actually is like a pop artist named Her, which kind of threw me the first time I saw it. I was like, oh, someone can actually use that now.
The joke is not funny if you explain it, John.
Oh, I thought that's what dads like to do, even though I'm not a dad.
I'm quite a dad splainer.
Are we ready to get into Babylon?
2002. I'm going to say Babylon because I like saying Babylon.
Because POD said it.
You got that right.
They're posers. Fucking San Diegan posers.
Oh, right. But, well, yeah, and then this Welsh band totally is, I don't hear a lot of reggae bands come out of Wales. Could be wrong, but and they're like right now the Wales underground scene is downvoting this YouTube video into oblivion. But Babylon is an interesting, and I say interesting because I'm just gonna say it up front. I think it's their worst album. But at the same time, isn't that the way it should be? A band's debut album maybe isn't quite what it would be once the band actually has a little bit more experience under their belts. And I know dude was in another band and everything, but I found Babylon to almost be a little bit too dated for my modern sensibilities, I guess. It didn't punch as hard as I thought Skindred was going to punch. Because you got to understand, in doing this show, people have been like, oh my God, Skindred for forever. Like, how come you guys haven't talked about Skindred? They're amazing. And so whenever I checked Babylon out, I was a little bit underwhelmed, but could kind of see where people were coming from. Because I haven't heard any band besides POD really do the reggae plus nu metal thing. And I think they pulled it off really well. And it's funny because whenever I got to the beginning of Nobody and those harmonized vocals come in, I was like, oh God, they're going to do a 311 thing for the entire rest of this discography. And I was pleasantly surprised that the similarities to 311 are very, 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 very sparse. I mean, there's a little bit of it in the harmonization, but then, can you really say a reggae influenced clean vocal harmony sounds like 311, or is it just a harmony?
I would have said Manu Chan or Wyclef Jean, but that's just me.
Well, fair enough. I like this one quite a bit, but it was absolutely not my favorite. I think the highlight song, and I think most listeners will agree with me, is the song Nobody. That chorus is infectious. The nobody gets out alive. That was just absolute gold. And what I like about this too is that as clean as it sounds and as professional as it sounds, it does have a little bit more of an underground flair to it. It sounds like they were 100% in creative control. And that's something that's going to continue with this band's discography.
Every element of this is what I'm here for when I'm listening to nu metal. The fact that we went full reggae is something that other bands would just hint at. I don't think anybody sits down and listens to reggae thinking it's going to be the most distorted, intense riffs that they hear that day. It's going to be a party. It's going to be energy. It's going to be just slow down and enjoy it. But then you have bands like POD, and that's probably the last time I'm going to mention them, who put elements in the music, but they don't make it the focus. I'm with Dan. Where the hell was I when this band put out these albums in the 2000s? Because this is something that was missing. I didn't know it was missing until I listened to Skindred, but now that I have it, I'm good to go. I feel like nu metal has the full scope of all other influences covered, and we can move on to the next album. John, what do you think about this one?
I agree with Dan. It kind of sounds a little bit more underground on this record. But it's funny because, like, to me, I feel like this is an album where a lot more of its influences are, like, right on its sleeve. But they're kind of hidden. So, like, there's a song on this record for Tears. Let me make sure that is what it's called. Yeah, Tears.
For Fears?
Yeah, exactly. So in the chorus melody, lyrically, they use Mariah Carey's Breakdown, which has Bone Thugs and Harmony on it as well. Not probably an obvious reference that people are going to pick up on and be like, you know what? I really commend them for using a Mariah Carey sample.
But John,
not
got
everybody's.
it, damn it.
Nobody's you, John. Like, no metal fans are sitting there being all like, I wonder, is that from a Mariah Carey song?
Oh, I recognized it right away because I was like, as I was listening to it, I was like, why do I like? Because it was the first time I'd been listening to the album as a whole, let alone the song. But I already was kind of like, and I was like, why do I know that? And then I was like, as it came back around, I was like, oh fuck, man, that's Mariah Carey's Breakdown off of a Butterfly album. I was like, no wonder I recognize that. But I mean, like, I think that's kind of the thing is like, it just showcases the wide array of influences and so forth that the band's bringing in. So someone who may be into pop or have like more pop leanings like myself at times, you're going to find that little thing and be like, oh, that's really cool that they did that. Like, you know, it's not obvious and you probably won't know if someone doesn't point it out. I think there's another song on this record that actually samples another song and I can't remember what it was. But I mean, to me, like the thing that like was kind of weird and I just can't get over it is it's like, for as much as everyone always gives Mike Patton just the heaping amount of praise for being so diverse with his lyrical and vocal abilities, this feels like basically a band that Mike Patton would be in. And at times, I think Benji sounds like Mike Patton. He also kind of sounds like some other people at different points in time, but I think largely the Mike Patton influence is there, where you just like can hear him going all over. And I think that that's kind of really what keeps me interested in this band. While it is interesting musically, it could go to shit real fast if you don't have a competent vocalist to go over these things. And, you know, I agree with Dan. Nobody is a good song. To me, I like Pressure, though. Start First is also kind of cool. There's just, like, a lot of, like... I feel like this is going to definitely be a discography where I'm just going to kind of go, like, this is fun. I enjoyed it. Next one, please.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was at. I listened to these kind of in rapid fire mode. I listened to the discography about 3 times, and one of the biggest comparisons while we're talking about vocal comparisons is he enunciates a lot and his melodies are a lot like Claudio Sanchez from Coheed and Cambria,
I almost
which is
thought of
weird.
Brock from 36 a little bit too.
There's a little bit of that as well.
Mainly in the singing.
And I can't it's a weird comparison to make because it just kind of started. It's not that he sounds like Claudio Sanchez. I mean, nobody has that pitch, you know, but like he
the influences are compounding in this scenario.
His vocal delivery, his enunciation, his vocal melody is the word I'm looking for, is very similar. But I mean, it's not a ripoff by any means. I think it's just one of those happy accidents because I also see the Coheed and Cambria episode, also like Coheed and Cambria. So I didn't have any kind of problems. And it was also kind of nice that he wasn't talking about like robots fighting robot clones in space, you know, or anything like that. So I found this really, really, really fun because I've never seen a band have this many different sort of elements all blended together, but still sound as original as Skindred does.
2007, Roots, Rock, Riot.
Oh, I thought that was going to go in a different direction with the whole Roots thing.
Yeah, Bloody Roots.
Yeah, definitely. I like this record a lot, actually. This record I felt was stronger even than Babylon. And I think part of it is because Babylon had, again, I know I just praised that the band has so many different influences going into this blender. This seemed a lot more focused to me. The hard rock elements were harder. The guitar tone is much deeper in this record. And they start kind of, this is where I think that maybe we're starting to look at potential radio play. And we're getting songs that are still 100% Skindred in the style, but I think that they did dial the reggae back a little bit on this one and went for a more straight ahead, almost, I don't want to use the word 311, but almost kind of like that sort of hard rock, smooth sort of chorus that you hear a lot of. And then, of course, obviously, he's screaming on a lot of the parts. And it's weird for this record coming out in 2007, how much it sounds like something that would have come out in 2004. And so it's unusual to see, number one, it's unusual to see a band that sounds like this and has this many albums with this sound kind of post nu metal's heyday.
I'm definitely glad that they stuck with it. The songs are better on this one, but it's also a little bit flatter in the production. I'm going to say that's par for the course for 2007, though, because everybody sounded a little bit flatter when they started mixing for digital. But this album still has that groove and that dissonant intensity that Skindred constantly puts back in the music. I wonder if this was approached from a more pure reggae side than a hybrid music side. I honestly don't know enough about the band to know whose idea this was to put these elements together. But again, I don't care. I am so glad that this band exists because it's a whole new spin on the nu metal that I love already.
Again, another weird maybe comparison, but as I was between this record and the this album, especially like State of Emergency and some of the other songs on it, I couldn't help but feel like, no doubt, you guys should have taken more of a cue from these guys on how to incorporate reggae style stuff and blending of more rhythmic kind of stylings musically like this. Like, they found a way to make it work and add heavy guitars over it. And it's an example of like when No Doubt put out Rocksteady, where you're like, God, this just doesn't work. Like, even though I know you record, like, almost did a Morning View thing where you went out to Jamaica or whatever and recorded a whole fucking record and you tried to bring the essence of that experience and put it on an album. It felt forced and contrived. What they do, like, doesn't. And the other thing too, and I'm not going to talk too much about it because I haven't had the time to really go through every lyric and kind of comb through them all, but I feel like on top of that, Benji also talks about important things, cultural things and political themes and so forth. That's another kind of harder thing to do, where you're able to put a pop sense on something that's serious. And I feel like this is the first record really where I started noticing a little bit more thematically that there's some real serious shit kind of being talked about on these albums. And it's kind of reflected a little bit on their album covers as well as we move forward too. But yeah, this is just fun. Like I said, State of Emergency's one, Destroyed the Dance Floor. I kept going back to Rude Boy for Life.
Oh, that one's great. Yeah, Rude Boy for Life. Yeah.
So this is another one where it's like, I do agree with Joe a little bit. I think it sounds a little bit flatter. Although I think I had read that they had re-released the first Babylon 3 different times, and the one that I think is on almost every streaming platform was remixed or remastered by Howard Benson. So of course it's going to sound really good in comparison to probably whoever originally did this, because I mean, you have one of the best to arguably do it, and then not discrediting whoever did this record, but it's just hard when you're going to like the cream of the crop basically on to remaster your first record.
Welcome to 2021, John, where we will buy your remaster. See my album of the week.
Right. The interesting thing, too, is that Babylon, actually, not to go back to talking about Babylon, but that record actually it was re-released a bunch of times, and it actually hit radio. I think, like, again, it hit radio a second time, like, several years after the release, which is something that you don't really see that often.
Aerosmith with Dream On wasn't a single at first, and then after they had singles, it got picked back up and became a monster single after the fact. I'd almost be like, take that, you bitches, I knew these songs were good.
Right.
Then again, we all know that that's a crapshoot anyway. I remember Josie Scott from Saliva went on Howard Stern and sang that song from the Spider-Man movie with Chad Kroger. And they had the American Idol people on when that had just come out. And they're like, yeah, I remember all of them were like, yeah, I mean, you got like an okay voice, but like, you're probably never going to have a career out of this or anything like that. And then they revealed like, oh, by the way, he just won a Grammy for that fucking song that he just sang for you guys. And they're like, oh. And it's like, yeah, you don't know shit.
So, anybody want to explain the name of this this next album for me?
Shark Bites and Dog Fights 2009.
So I think, because the funny thing about it was when I saw the album title at first, I was like, that's a fucking weird album name. But I mean, dogfights usually, as you can see on the album cover, refer to, when you're fighting in airplanes or fighter jets or whatever, like they're called dogfights for whatever reason. The shark bites thing, I'm not entirely sure. The only thing I can think of, and then coincidentally, again, when looking at the album cover a little bit more, those old fighter jets that had like the shark face basically on the noses of the planes. It's the only thing I could come up with. But a lot of it is a very literal interpretation of the album cover. But I don't necessarily, and this is kind of where I started paying attention initially more to some of the lyrics, because I was like, maybe this is like talking about being, especially like on the first one, Stand for Something, they're talking about like caught in chains, shackles on too tight, squirming for your life because you're gone and you lost your freedom. It's like, okay, like, obviously Benji is a APOC, a person of color, for those that don't know that acronym. And, comes from a different country and all that kind of stuff. So I could see it being a thing where, he's talking about, having to be in dogfights and so forth to overcome the oppression of growing up the way he did or in the environments that he did. And that basically those are the things that make you who you are and the experiences that you grow into or whatever. And that's why I was saying, like, I'll probably go back when we're done with this episode and really dig into the lyrics a lot more and just kind of see if there's more narrative that I'm just kind of missing, and like that some of these things, like an album title correlating to an overall theme might present itself a little bit more the more digging I do, but that's on me. And I would love to hear feedback. Email us, comment on social media or whatever if you have the answer for that, because that's the fun thing about doing this is sometimes we don't know everything and we can learn from all of you. So if you have more of an explanation, all ears.
See, John, if you want to read into it, Shark Bites is like skateboarding, right? Like you destroyed your ankles with a skateboard.
It was my wrists for me from falling.
But I'm looking at this album cover thinking this is a sci-fi B movie waiting to happen. If we can have Sharknado, damn it, I can have sharks versus airplanes. I'll be a happy guy. But the music is that Skindred sound just continued. We're going to back off and be a little more hard rock in places, but it's still Skindred, dude. I can't say anything other than thank you for doing another cover of Electric Avenue, which I mentioned in the opening of the show for all the video watchers who are wondering, why is Joe just dancing? That's why.
I was just a little bit, the Electric Avenue cover taken out of the equation, but I was kind of surprised at how fast this record went. It wasn't as many songs as the last two. It felt very tight and compact, and I almost feel like that sort of was a conscious effort to kind of get in and get out, not overstay the welcome, not kind of have any fat on the bone. And I kind of found myself coming back to this record a little bit more just because of how fast it went of a listening experience. But I think it's kind of interesting because it's like Joe had kind of mentioned on the last one where it's like, oh, it's more of this. And I feel like each record kind of changes a little bit where it might be like, oh, like, Dan and I were talking this week about how there's sort of tropes at times where it's like, oh, here's like the one dub kind of sound or more like the reggaeton kind of style song. And then like they kind of get a little bit more poppier in some instances, or they get a little bit more heavier in some instances. Like they're kind of expanding their range of what they've been doing. And I feel like to me, the hooks on this are just fucking huge. Like musical hooks even are a lot bigger than they've been on the last two records. Like look at a song like Calling All Stations. Sorry.
I was surprised at how quickly it was over. I remember because I was doing something or whatever, and so whenever I realized that the album had stopped, at like 30 minutes, I was like, oh god, did I just listen to an EP? Oh, and I was like, no, there's a decent amount of songs here. But yeah, I think that this is the point of the discography where like, yeah, it's just more Skindred. And I think that's one of the hard things about this is that like I can't critically analyze it and say like, Well, here you can tell that there's a maturity, in the time signature and the overall production value, because the producer, like, I could do all of that, but it's just it's a nice little 30-minute shot of Skindred, and it's exactly what it needs to be. I do enjoy that they sound more modern. I enjoy that aspect of it immensely. And now, some of the stuff I was complaining about Babylon, about how stuff just didn't hit hard enough. We're kind of in more modern music territory now. So the hard guitars are harder. The vocals are more harsh. His delivery is getting better and better. His ability to belt out a chorus, a catchy hook, is better than I think most mainstream bands. So I can't. Skindred's a band that I'm kind of like, man, I feel like they should have been bigger in the U.S., but I also kind of understand why they weren't. Just because U.S. audiences, we weren't listening to stuff like this. Everything we were listening to right now, what year is this? 2009. So all we care about right now is like what Howard Jones is doing. I still care about what Howard Jones is doing, but it's just one of those things where unfortunately this style of music, or maybe fortunately for them, was continued to be popular overseas forever. But yeah, I really, really, really enjoyed this record, and I feel like it was actually just the right length, especially considering the records we're going to get going forward. You're never going to be disappointed in this band. Spoilers. But it is definitely the downside to listening to it all in one shot, is it all tends to blend together. But it's not because they're a bad band. It's just because they were innovative on their first record. Therefore, they have not had to innovate much since their inception.
There's a band that 311 fans will undoubtedly know that is local to us in St. Louis. I'm talking about The Urge. Play that fucking Urge shit. I don't know why we didn't know about this band in 2009, because this should have been huge locally. To have that new metal sound that our market just cannot let go. And by the way, dude can actually sing and perform at a high rate of speed. It's almost reggae influenced. I think this band would have fit in really well here. And again, I'm just upset that we didn't know about him sooner.
I would go and see Skindred and The Urge right now. Like, absolutely.
Steve, book that show, please.
I mean, I'd go to any show right now.
By the way, shout out to Josh Toomey, who says Howard Jones should replace every singer. Instant upgrade. To which I said, what about Bruce Dickinson? He said it wasn't a debate after that.
Well, you know what? We're going to get into we're going to get into how we feel about that on the Iron Maiden episode. So, you may not be happy with the results. So that's just a little preview for you. But back to Skindred.
Are we ready for Union Black?
Yeah, I mean, I'm ready. It existed before I did this show, so
I think the funny thing, speaking of Toomey, is when I heard Warning, I was like, man, that sounds like the same cadence as Loose by Primer 55. And like, I can't, and I'm sorry that I just ruined that song for everyone, because now that I said that, if you know how Loose goes, like the chorus of Loose, you're not going to not hear that.
John, number one, I applaud you for being on that wavelength with me. Number two, it doesn't sound like Loose. I see what you're talking about, but it doesn't.
Well, Loose doesn't have Jacoby Shaddix on it.
It wishes it did.
It does. Yeah, Warning is an absolute, what would Roach Coach call this, a pit stoker?
Starter?
I'm gonna let you have that one, but that's the only one, sir.
An activator. It's new metal month. I can say stuff Roach Coach says just for 1 month. But this definitely gets the party started. Let's put it that way. If I can find a copyright safe way of saying it, it absolutely gets the party started in the best way possible. Jacoby adds a lot to the track. I know not everybody's a huge Jacoby fan. Why haven't we done a Papa Roach episode?
I don't know. I would love to do a Papa Roach episode.
Well, stay tuned. We might do a Papa Roach episode at some point. But I actually really, really, really enjoyed the song Doom Riff, and not just because the word Doom's in it, but that is part of why I liked it. I'm not going to lie about that. This one's really the whole package. The last one was shorter and almost more aggressive in a way. This record is a little bit more like, this is going to be our big rock record, almost designed as if it's going to be our mainstream breakthrough. And I'm going to say that it probably didn't. I still think to this day their most popular record is Babylon. But I don't know. This one's a pretty strong contender for me.
I do think this is the best album to date. It has the best balance of hard rock, new metal, reggae-influenced vocals. that R&B sound that invaded pop music for so long. In some places, I don't hear the Primer 55s. I hear a slightly twisted Seven Dust. And I feel weird saying that because this band does not sound like Seven Dust. But I think sometimes the criticisms are the same. Not everybody likes what Seven Dust is doing because they just don't get it. They don't get the over-the-top, groove-driven intensity with nice sounding vocals and sometimes Morgan screaming. So when you take Skindred, who's doing the next step in this new metal pop R&B mashup sound that they have, I could see that comparison being similar. But to me, this is just their next step. I don't think it's the best album, but you're right. It's definitely, we're trying to break into the mainstream if we weren't already here.
Well, the thing about them being mainstream, though, is they still weren't, and this is what's interesting about Skindred and makes them a more talented band, I think, than a lot of bands that are in this genre, is that these guys are genuinely good at writing songs and getting people pumped up and creating a vibe. But it doesn't sound commercialized at all. Like, sure, it can be commercial, but I don't think that it was necessarily written as such. I think this is just the level that they're on as far as being able to deliver a really, really good, awesome, like, party rock record. Because, like, I'm not angry when I listen to Skindred, and a lot of bands that put off this sort of vibe try to create an angry vibe. Instead, I'm just having fun. I'm acting like Joe down there, just like rocking out, bobbing my head back and forth. Like, I'm having a great time, and I can only imagine that feeling extends beyond a billion whenever you're at a live show.
They say cats don't dance. I'm here to tell you that Dan doesn't dance. But if nobody's looking,
we'll talk about cats later.
He can get a little sway going on. It's pretty hilarious.
Like, what's funny to me is, like, again, like, the band, I think, is very comfortable in the sound that they've grown into over the last, 4 records or so at this point. But, like, they still kind of keep pushing new elements in. Like, you look at a song like Death to All Spies, and I feel like that kind of brings in, granted, like, this came out, 2011, so, like, we're well beyond the emo phase at this point. But, like, a song like Death to All Spies,
God.
like, when I heard it, I was like, oh, it feels like a little bit like Motion City Soundtrack with, like, those keys and, like, the synths and stuff, like, and the dancey kind of beat around it reminded me a little bit of, like, that era of, Motion City. But, like, again, like, it's just, I don't know, like, this is just a fun one, like, Gun Talk, like I said, it's kind of getting into the tropey thing where you kind of got, like, your reggae or kind of dub style song, and Gun Talk, like, at first, like, when you looked at it, you're like, that's a hard ass fucking song title. Especially, like, after you have Doom Riff and whatever, but it's like, you get to Gun Talk, and then it's kind of like this, like, really chill, like, reggae kind of song, and you're like, oh, okay. And then
they would, yeah.
And, they even kind of, like, the funny thing is they even reference A, their own band name, and B, the album that they're, this album title.
That's just part of the genre. You have to do that. That's how it works.
But yeah, this is, I think it was kind of cool because, like, with them kind of basically saying in the song on Gun Talk, Union Black Radio Station, bringing music to the people, dem hear this community, oh year. Like, I think it kind of speaks to the fact that these guys are aware that their music is bringing together so many different communities within the musical community. And I think that's something that is fun. Like, having seen the band live, like, I definitely have seen how they are all about just making people have a good time for whatever amount of time they get to play on stage. And I feel like that's kind of the whole thing of, like, their albums even is like, yeah, like, we could probably write, a straight ahead, like, this song or whatever, but we want to have fun. We want you to have fun with us. And I think that's kind of like the thing that's been fun about listening to this band is, in a lot of episodes we do, everything's so fucking serious. Like, you look at a band like Death, like, everything that band did was so fucking serious and needed to be the way it was. And
behold the flesh and the power it holds. Yeah.
And it's just one of those things where sometimes, you need a band like this that is serious in what they do, but they also have fun, and they want everyone that listens to have fun.
So, John, I want you to look at the camera and tell Dan that sometimes you need bands that are fun.
I mean, that band fun's not good, but that's a different story.
Yikes. Yeah, we're not talking about fun. No, I really enjoyed this. And spoilers, I'm just going to say it. I spent the entire week listening to another band that, kind of just left me cold to fun. And, they really just got me down to the dumps. So going to Skindred after the fact I was like, oh, okay, everything might actually be okay. I was thinking about quitting my job and living in a trailer, but now I feel like I can push through because I'm gonna, eventually, I don't want to sit there and like not, just wallow in my own garbage for, day in and day out until the electric company comes through and kills the power.
2014. Hey, John, when did CM Punk debut the fist logo? I'm seeing some copyright issues here.
Well, if we're gonna go that route, especially with the red, yellow, and green colors scheme, I think this is a completely different fist that is being representative of oppression and usually the African American community, and starting way back in the 76 Olympics with the classic fist raise on the podiums. But yeah, no, I get it. And it's also the lightning bolt doesn't help too, because that was part of CM Punk's thing as well. So I totally get it. But that's probably going to be a reference for maybe like 6 people listening to the show who are like, CM Punk? I like CM Punk. Is he back? CM Punk chant starting?
We can start one if you want.
Yeah. This is man, by the way, I don't feel like the guitars have been this impactful since Babylon, basically, to me. The fucking bounce and like just stank on these fucking guitars, like right out the gate on Kill the Power, is huge. And like kind of has, I think, more of that nu metal sound that we're used to. Like, it's definitely groovy, it's got a bounce, but man, like I was all about this record. Kill the Power, like I said, Playing with the Devil. I mean, and again, even like some of the bonus tracks they had on, like I don't know if anyone listened to it, but like Get Along, I thought was kind of interesting. It's like a weird, like, I don't want to call it a ballad, but it's kind of like this weird mid-tempo-y thing, and like I've not really heard them do a whole song kind of at that level. I mean, I kind of can understand why it was a bonus track and not put on, because it's not as strong as the rest of the record, but it was interesting to get this bonus track and then kind of be like, wow, okay, like you guys are doing a weird mid-tempo thing, like not really seeing you do that, not in a like reggae song, like where that's like the crux of that kind of genre. But like just to see them do a straight ahead like kind of mid-tempo song, I was like, wow, okay, like interesting. And again, it just kind of keeps like Skindred started like this, but then it just keeps going. Like, and that's the fun thing about this band, is like you don't know where they're going to keep pushing the sound and in what directions they're going to expand in. And I think that as a listener, that just keeps me coming back. And when you now have, I'll say, more modern production on a record, it kind of makes it come across a little bit more fun. Because like before, like I felt the guitars were a little bit kind of had the balls taken away from them that they had on Babylon, but this, they're back and they hit. And thankfully, I don't recall them ever going away from this point forward. Like the guitars sound fucking huge going forward, almost like they started getting like 7 and 8 strings at this point.
Yeah, I mean, guitar stank is real on this record, and I'm here for it, because this is exactly like what I was complaining about some of the other albums, about it sounding thin or that it's not hitting hard enough or whatever. This record is where they just like really spent a good amount of time really being like, okay, what is our main demographic? It's still hard rock fans, right? So let's really give them those riffs that they come for, and let's give them to them let's not package them up and make them look nice. Let's just give them the experience, And I think it makes the song stronger, really. And I also think that like the anthemic choruses are bigger. Everything's bigger. This sounds like an arena sort of production. Whereas I think before the appeal of Skindred was the whole like, we're gonna play a 200-pack club, and you're gonna get that experience of smelling your friend's beer vomit and all that stuff. Whereas this, you're in an amphitheater. Skindred's playing, and then like I don't know, like Skillet or somebody's coming up next. Like it's that sort of like very big sounding thing. And at this point, they've been in the game for such a long time that they're able to deliver on a level that I think a lot of bands that play this style can't. And this is it. Fight the Power is a fantastic Skindred album, and probably is my favorite out of the whole bunch. Just because it's all of the elements. It's what I imagined when Skindred was being pitched to me as a band I should check out. This is what I imagined it to sound like based on the description.
It's not my favorite album, but I do agree it's the most complete sounding Skindred album. This puts everything together that they had at their disposal in 2014 and creates a more anthemic sounding band. When I listen to Skindred, I'm still here for the groove plus those intense over-the-top vocals. So now when we incorporate more balance, more arena sounding, more anthemic, atmospheric elements, and we don't go over the top, because it would have been so easy to go over the top and just go full auto-tune. But we didn't do it. We let the band still be themselves, and we just added a little bit more taste to it. So I do think this is the best album. It's just not my favorite.
Flavor to taste.
See what I did there?
Speaking of that, that speaks volumes to their next record. It is, yeah, I'm ready for volume. This one, it just gets better from here on out, man.
2015.
I thought based on this album cover, I was like, are you gonna get like just a disgustingly metal Skindred? Because like you see something like
Kinda.
this.
I mean, we kind of did get that.
Yeah, but like it's just like when you like just looking at the album cover, I was like, all right, like the fuck we got going on here?
I literally thought there was going to be like a little Rise Records logo at the bottom of it.
No, for sure. This looks like, I mean, no offense to them, but like this looks like some of the stuff you see on like Rise, like, you know, TGI like logos looking emblem thing there. I think this is like, again, like adding newer elements to shit. Like you look at this, like the title track Volume kind of almost has like that like classic rock kind of stoner sound to it. Like the guitars, like kind of a little bit fuzzier, thicker kind of sound that you've not really heard them do it up until this point. I feel like there's a weird, this feels like the only thing I can come up with is nostalgia tinge. This feels like a record that we've heard, but like I've never heard before. Like it has all these classic elements of stuff I've been listening to for, you know, decades, but it feels fresh and unique through their prism of what they do. And it's, lack of a better term, it's fun. It's another evolution of the band's sound going forward. And I don't know, like, again, like I love the fact that like, I don't know if this is because like, because this one came out, I think on Napalm Records, I believe. So it's like one of those where it was like, oh, like, and I don't know if we've really ever talked about this, like where sometimes you go onto a label and then maybe you're like, oh, we have to sound like this now because we're on this fucking label, like this, you know, metal
Not
label.
Skindred.
No.
They're okay with looking like it, but sounding like it, no, not so much.
I just want to pogo for the rest of this album. Can I do the whole show with a headset and just be bobbing up and down?
It just makes me wonder, like, how are they able to be this much of a hit factory and not be able to be bigger? I guess that's you know, and I know I sometimes get stuck on this with certain bands, certain episodes, but like I can't find anything wrong with Skindred at all, like at all. And they consistently put out high quality records like Volume. I mean, usually when we're this many records into a discography, it starts to get old. It starts to get like, come on, man.
Cattle
like,
to Cap?
Yeah, no, well, Cattle
I'm
to
saying
Cap.
like they're like
Yeah.
the same in this situation where it's like, yo, you're getting better as you go.
Yeah, I wouldn't say they have that much growth, but that's also because like you look at Cattle Decap. Yeah, we're comparing Cattle Decapitation to Skindred. Find that on another podcast. I beg you.
For fans of Cattle to Cap or Skindred, if we were a podcast that had a sticker thing on our
Yeah, exactly. Do you like Cephalic Carnage and Seven Dust? But
Yes.
I think that the big difference here though is that like this would be like if Cattle Decapitation put out Death Atlas as their first record and only got better as they went. Whereas with Skindred, you know, you've got a record like Babylon, which already has all of the key elements to what would make this band great in it. And so this many records in, usually what happens with a band like this is that they will smooth out to the point of not being even recognizable anymore. Look at Linkin Park, you know, like losing kind of what those elements were that made them special, or feeling the constant need to redefine. This is an example of a band that doesn't actually have to redefine anything. However, they do still continue to add elements into their sound. There's definitely a lot more like dub, electronic stuff going on here, and I'm here for it. Yeah, turntable. I mean, it's all there, and the choruses are there. You have a singer that can actually sing, which, you know, on this show is kind of a rarity. You know, and so yeah, I mean, just powerhouse vocalists, super heavy riffs, but then I'm looking at the Spotify stats for this record, and it's not that that's how you judge music really, but they only had one song, which was Under Attack, that broke 1 million plays on Spotify, and I can't figure out like why that is when a record sounds this good. I could hand this to anybody. Like if I was in high school right now, let's say it was 2003, I could hand this record to anybody and then be like, oh my God, this is the greatest band I've ever heard in my life. Yeah, 100%. There's a machine right outside our classroom. Except a couple years later, they replaced those machines with milk machines. But thankfully, I was graduated by then. So give me that
Just
high
what I want.
fructose corn syrup.
Milk from a machine.
At $2.39 a chug, John.
Hey, do you guys remember those when they tried putting milk in bags?
That actually makes sense to me.
Do you not remember that? Like when you would get like the little like
I don't remember
literally
that.
like a almost like a beanbag size thing of milk.
It's less waste.
Sorry for the sidetrack there, but that's interesting. I'm gonna have to like now you're gonna make me have to type bag of milk into Google.
Oh, fucking bags of sand! What the fuck?
I'll be like, guys, I gotta go. I'm gonna be gone for the rest of the day.
Gone till December. Gone till
Wow.
November.
Okay. So yeah, this as good as Volume is, like as a record, I think this is the point in the band's discography where they're like, all right, guys, I think we need to switch it up. I think we need to go in a different direction. Not because what they were doing wasn't working. I think they were just genuinely tired of doing the same thing that they'd been doing for 6 records. And so whenever we move on to their next record, there are definitely some tings that they change up for us.
I really want to make Dan say this one. 2018.
Big tings.
Anyone an Action Bronson fan?
All right, this cover artwork's not doing it justice, okay? For the rest of the episode, this is where we live. Right here. Okay? This is where we live.
I was expecting bags of milk.
I mean, this is just I love this record just because of the cover artwork. I'm not gonna lie. I'm loving Rob Halford kitty cat with sunglasses. This record is Skindred basically being like, all right, guys, we're going to have a party now. And even though it's got all the elements that you would expect from a Skindred record, they've never wrote a song quite as awesome as That's My Jam. It's big, it's anthemic, it's a little bit more low key. It's a little bit less metal overall, a little bit less hard rock, but I'm kind of here for it. I like that they have fully embraced the arena. They are ready to come and destroy the stage of your local band showcase, not local band showcase, but like, you know, your festival. You know, yeah, they're not going to be in big letters at the top, but like when you go and see, you know, whatever festival's allowed, they're going to play and everybody's be like, holy crap, who's that band and why are they not headlining? That's what Big Tings is.
I think the hard part for me when listening to this record, because at this point Don Broco exists in my world. We consistently have been lauding the band for just kind of doing what they do. For once, this feels like someone was like, hey, you guys checked out Don Broco? Like, they kind of do like what you do, where they just mash a bunch of shit together and it sounds really good. And then they're like, oh, we can kind of go more pop, like actual pop leaning in sound and approach. And a song like That's My Jam actually kind of feels like the first time I remember hearing Finger 11 do Paralyzer, and I was like, the fuck happened to Finger 11? Like, this isn't the band I remember. Like, they went full pop, basically. And as Dan says, that's when you see him at festivals or when you see him in front of the thousands and thousands of people and you play something like this, it's going to get everyone fucking moving to where you're like, I don't know this band, but yeah, all right, I'm down for this. And
as soon as that giant cat banner, yeah, you know, gets propped up on stage, you know who they mean business.
And then MC Scat Cat or whatever the fuck from that Paula Abdul video will start coming out and dancing with Benji.
I mean, maybe. Anything's possible. But yeah, you know, this is a really good example, too, of like, hey, guys, we're going to go full pop.
And it working. Unlike
Linkin Park. This is the exact opposite of that. Of like, this is what happens when Skindred goes full pop.
And I feel like
whereas with Linkin Park, it was like, this is what happens when you take full pop and you add some people that are in Linkin Park to it.
Well, I feel like the thing is, it is full pop basically on this, but I think what they did was, so like Dan in the Linkin Park episode kept saying like it's basically a candy outer with kind of like a more bitter inside or whatever, and he kept saying, you know, they kind of put the candy sheen on it. This to me is fully realizing that, where it's like we're putting the pop production on what you do. you're not changing your sound, you're not changing necessarily anything you would do, but we're putting this pop coating over it. And I think it's one of the few examples where I've seen that happen, and you don't go like, oh, you fucking sellouts, like, you know, laying back in my Reebok outfit like Garth, going like, it's just sad. It's one of those things to me where, like, when I see that happening on this album, that it
Hey John, if
yeah.
you're gonna spew in this.
Yeah. But no, this is, you know, the pop production totally working for them, and they're not lessening what they do, and that's the interesting thing about this record. And when I got to it, I was like, they went full pop on it, but like, it works. It enhances everything that the band has been doing, but it brings out, like, if you didn't know how great the choruses were, the musicality and the hooks that the music's been having throughout all these records, this is the one where if you hadn't noticed it, you definitely will, and you're gonna be like, holy shit, like, okay, what has me interested now, and I don't want to like get too far ahead because I think they do have a newer record coming out soonish, is how can you take this now with the pop production basically over what they do? How can you take it and expand on it? Do they go kind of a Bring Me, where you can kind of really now start going all over and kind of playing with your production template and maybe curating an album where it's like, now you have different production on every album or every song, and making it sound, you know, like, oh, here's our fucking hard rock song that we can do, or here's our reggae song, or here's this, but now it just sounds fucking massive because we got a budget, and we also have the tenure of being a band that's been around for fucking 2 decades at this point and toured the world and gained an international fan base. This, to me, screams, let's try to get you into the American market. And let's try to push you there because you're not as big and successful as you are everywhere else. Because unfortunately, Americans, our ears need the candy coating. You know, we need that Trojan horse to be sugar fed, basically, something before we'll go, oh, okay. Because the average listener is going to hear something like Skindred and be like, oh, it's too all over the place. I need it to be in this one fucking box and not deviate. And that's been and I think for both of you will probably agree, that's been the one great thing about being into international bands is like, you see them not being incumbent, that's not the right word to use, not being tied down basically to a style or genre, because they don't care about those things internationally as much as we do here in the States.
That was one time, John, you wanted to say encumbered.
No, I was thinking incumbent.
Incumbent, yeah, that's what I heard, yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to say it, but I didn't come out correctly, so I was like, nope, scrap that. And that's okay sometimes.
I see what you're totally saying, fine, John, but I really don't want Skindred to do the American popular thing. The albums up to this point have been focused, and I know we are currently in a culture of music where I can listen to any song that I want, but I don't want to listen to every song. I want the album to make sense. And I do think if Skindred is going to go full pop, whether it's their choice or someone else's choice to break them into another market, just stop making records at that point, guys. I've really gotten to a point where I'm tired of hearing albums that are so scattered that why do we even have albums? Let's go back to the original music and just put out singles. That's what we've been working towards this whole time, right?
What a lot of people do. Just put out 1 or 2 songs at a time and release them every few months, just bit by bit. It's not an unintelligent way to release music. It's really not.
And then Dan can buy more 7-inches.
I can buy all the 7-inches you got. Absolutely. So I mean, that's Skindred. That's that's the journey that we took this week, and it's one that I'm glad that I took because the band was fun. They were positive. Are positive, rather. Speaking of them in past tense, I'm so used to talking about bands that are broken up, but it's interesting to see a band like this not be more successful, at least over here in the States. I can't speak for international sales, but again, like I said, you get this band get them on a big festival here in the U.S. and they're going to turn some heads.
Final thoughts on Skindred, John.
Just a really fun, eclectic band that's got enough of a grab bag of tricks in their arsenal that will keep you interested all the way through. I don't think there's a bad record in the mix. Like Jan said, I do think it kind of gets better as it goes. So and that's how it should go. That's how the progression of a band should go. You should get better as you go. But I think, largely, unless the international fan base of this show is like, yes, Skindred, We've been talking about them and championing them for decades. Now you guys are fucking finally listening to us. I think this is going to be one where I have a feeling a lot of the people listening to the show are going to be like, oh, I don't really, I've heard of them, don't really know anything about them. And probably based on our glowing reviews of the whole discography, hopefully we'll go and check it out and find a new favorite band. And like I said, I think the new record's actually getting ready to come out soon.
We'll be on Patreon with that.
And at that point, if touring does come back, that maybe we can be kind of the groundswell of people going to see Skindred when they come back to the States and being a good U.S. touring band so we can see them more. It's a lot of fun. The live show is a lot of fun. Benji is a very great frontman.
Dan, what about you?
Well, I think I more or less said it. This band needs to be in front of a lot more ears because they do a lot of things right that we constantly criticize bands of their ilk for doing wrong. And they've got a really consistent discography. This is one of those unique cases that if you like one record, you're going to like pretty much all of them. You like one song, you're probably going to like every song on the record. If they can hook you with just 30 seconds of audio, you're good to go.
Skindred does not fail. At any point in the discography, they are interesting to listen to. You can step on at any point. There are some high points, in my opinion, especially the more nu metal sounding songs. But the overall groove and the overall feeling of the band does not change. Stick with them. I think this band has the ability to break a little bit harder, but I'm worried that we're going to flip into the pop-influenced rock that we have too much of. I've heard the reggae and the nu metal in such combination that I just want this band to have that niche. I want them to stick with that thing that I haven't heard anybody else do as well as they have. But you're not going to have a bad time listening to this band. So listen to Skindred. You're really going to enjoy it. And if you're like us, it's going to be a change of pace that you were not expecting. And I think that that's important sometimes, especially when the band is as fun as this one can be. Dan, what's your album of the week?
I've really been enjoying the Clouds mixtape by NF this week.
John, what about you?
Going with an old classic, Color Morale, No Hope.
Ooh, that is a good record.
Really good. This is the first record Josh Schroeder did that I heard where I was like, oh, you're working with bands I like now.
There you go.
Instead of
Rise Records, shout out. Yeah.
For me, it's Injustice for All by Metallica. $5 on Amazon. Picked up the remastered version of that album.
Still no bass, huh?
Does it sound better? No, it sounds exactly the same. I'm still running it through a Sweet amplifier, and it still sounds like Injustice for All.
So still no bass?
The bass is there. It's just turned down so low it's inaudible to most people. I was thinking about that problem recently. Everybody says Metallica should go back and turn the bass up. I don't think anybody's realized that Jason Newsted didn't have a good bass tone until Bob Rock got involved.
I can't confirm nor deny because I can't hear it.
Hot takes. Take us out, DFT.
If you like this podcast and you're listening or watching via the various avenues that you can enjoy the show, if you ever want to reach out to us or talk to us or give us band suggestions, there's a lot of different ways you can do that. You can reach out to us on Facebook at facebook.com/discography discussion. We have a Facebook group set up for the podcast where you can chat about your favorite episodes or just whatever you're listening to or share memes. We're really, really, really into memes. And, you can reach out to us on Twitter at Discuss Metal. You can send us an email at danandjoeshow@gmail.com. You can reach out to us on our Discord server. There will be a link in the show notes for this episode that'll take you to our Discord server where you can join us as well as fans of the show pretty much 24/7. We're almost always there in some capacity. So if you want to chat and reach out, definitely do so. If you want to get some sweet discography discussion merch, there's going to be a link in the show notes that'll take you to our Teespring store where you can get a variety of different items, including cell phone cases for Android and iPhone. And t-shirts and socks and anything else creative that I can throw our logo on and sell to you to wear on your body or your accessories. So with all that being said, thank you guys so much for checking out the podcast, and we will catch you guys next time.
And on that note, this has been episode 222 of Discography Discussion. Thank you for listening. You can like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at Discuss Metal. Subscribe to our podcast everywhere you listen to podcasts, including Google Play, Apple Podcasts, and Stitcher. Visit DiscussMetal.com for all things discography discussion. And please send questions and comments to danandjoeshow@gmail.com. If you are not a patron, you can become one at patreon.com/discussmetal. We have some sweet perks. $1 a month gets you into that exclusive album review feed. Bags of milk not included.